Hi everyone, this is Jen from BritMums, and we are here on a hangout today talking about exercise tips for pregnant and new mums. We've got with us today Shakira Akabusi. She is a health and fitness trainer and journalist. She writes for Huffington Post and is known for her creative mum and baby workouts on her site, Strong Like Mum. So welcome Shakira, thanks so much for joining us.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to it.
Great. We also have with us Nadine Hill. She is our BritMums blog editor as well as blogging at Juggle Mum. And Nadine has recently written about exercise and experienced that for the BritMums blog. Hi, Nadine.
Hi there, Jen. Thank you for having me.
Great. So let's get right into it. Shakira, let's talk about your tips for pregnant and new moms for working out, staying healthy, getting into shape. And I think one of the biggest issues, at least when I was a new mom, was this idea of breastfeeding and how exercise can affect breastfeeding. What about that?
Yeah, so that's probably the question I get asked the most by my postnatal clients is how is exercise going to impact their breastfeeding? So to date, there's been no scientific evidence that suggests that breastfeeding is negatively impacted by exercise in terms of the supply. So the supply won't be affected. The content of the mother's milk is slightly affected with high intensity exercise. Mainly there's an antibody called IgA which plays a role in the defense system, and that's slightly reduced in the content of a mother's milk for about 10 to 30 minutes, but there's no harmful effects whatsoever for the baby. And the second one that's slightly different is lactic acid, which has an increased buildup. Again, we're talking about high intensity exercise. That can last up to anywhere between 30 to 90 minutes, but again, no harmful effects whatsoever for the baby. But those are the two main changes in terms of content. In terms of supply, there's no effect there.
I actually have a question for you, Shakira. I remember when I was breastfeeding my children, and my mum would always say to me, oh, breastfeeding is the best thing to get your figure back after you've had the baby. And so I did, but I mean, I didn't have a great figure before the baby, I have to admit. So I was like, breastfeed these children and get this before. So I just wanted to ask that question. Is that an old wives' tale, or is there some truth in that?
Yeah, no, there definitely is some truth in that. So breastfeeding burns a high amount of calories, so that's going to help you straight away. It also encourages the contraction of the uterus to kind of go back. So I think we're talking about two things. We're talking a little bit about weight loss, and then we're talking about actually shrinking in terms of dress size, and that obviously helps pull everything back into place. And both of those, yeah. So it does have an impact, but obviously, healthy lifestyle, keeping active, has to all go along with that. But yeah, it definitely does have a good impact in terms of weight loss and dress size.
Cool.
And going on from that, so definitely don't worry about the impact on breastfeeding. Additional tips.
Yeah, okay, so kind of leading on from breastfeeding, I think where the confusion comes in is hydration is really, really, really important, whether you're breastfeeding or not, to be honest. Hydration levels are always really crucial, but definitely if you're a breastfeeding mum or if you're a pregnant lady who's exercising and keeping active, the body is largely made up of water, but water also has a massive impact in terms of absorption of vitamins and minerals and passing all of that through the system and onto the baby if you're pregnant. So definitely staying hydrated is really, really, really crucial. And if you are breastfeeding, that's going to be something that could potentially impact the supply of your breast milk. So you want to make sure that you keep your hydration levels high.
And what about pregnancy hormones?
Yes, okay, so there's one main hormone called relaxin, and it's produced around the second week of pregnancy, and it lasts the whole way through the pregnancy up until 5 months postpartum, or if you're breastfeeding, 5 months after you finish breastfeeding. So it has a long effect on the body. Its main role is to loosen the joints around the hips and prepare you for labor. but the effects can't just be isolated to one area of the body. So I think what's really important to be aware of if you're exercising and keeping active as a pregnant woman or postnatally is the effects that will have on your joint stability. So if you're lifting weights or you're stretching, to just really be careful with the range of movement, not overlift, overstretch, because your joints will be slightly more unstable and a bit more prone to injury. So it's just about kind of being sensible with that and being aware of that's happening in your body. I think two other things that were really, really, really crucial that helped me through, I mean, I exercised, like I said, through pregnancy and then postnatally. What's really important is, one, just to be a bit creative with your workouts. It's really difficult, especially as a mother now, to get to the gym. And packing a bag and going to the gym is just not as easy as that. You know, you've got a baby and you either need baby care or you've got to take the baby and find a creche or whatever. So a lot of the time I work out at home or in the garden, or I take my son for a walk and we work out with the pram. There are so many things. Something really simple like a chair there's so much you can do with a chair to create intensity and levels and elevation, all that kind of stuff. You know, really get creative. I use a cooking pot sometimes. I use tin cans. I use my washing basket. Brilliant. Fill it with clothes, shoes. I put loads of shoes in there. And then my washing on top of the shoes, and I'm squatting away, holding the washing basket. You know, there's so much you can do. So really,
you don't need fancy equipment. You can do this at home. Fit it in.
Gym membership, you don't need a personal trainer, you can do this yourself at home. And I think following on from that, my main tip would be just to be a little bit flexible with your workouts. So firstly, mix up the workouts, do a whole diverse range, you know, stretching, whether it's yoga, whether it is lifting weights, cardio, you know, a whole range. But then also, I have a plan of what I'm going to do when I start a workout, but especially if I'm with my son or at home, plans change. And I think you've just got to be able to go with the flow. Babies are so unpredictable, or children are unpredictable, and you know, you might need to stop a workout, you might be able to pick it up again 5 minutes later, or you might need to just stop, try again tomorrow, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think the main thing that I'm always trying to get this message across is that a healthy lifestyle is a journey, and it's about enjoying that process to make it sustainable, rather than having, you know, a really strict diet regime that you're never going to stick to, or, you know, and not taking the fun out of life, just living life and just, you know, relax and find the enjoyment, and that will make it sustainable.
I love those messages. I was nodding along with all of that, Shakira. I just absolutely think that's great, and certainly the way you said about, you know, be flexible. Children make it sometimes so that plans do change at the last minute, and I think sometimes we can get a bit rigid in our thinking and think, oh well, I've blown it now, there's no point doing this, and it's just quite a useful reminder to go with the flow of it.
Yep.
And Nadine, that was what you found when you were doing a series on the BritMums blog about exercising, that it was about fitting it in, being flexible, and Shakira's fourth tip, getting creative, doing different things to keep it interesting and working different muscle groups.
Absolutely, because what I did on the BritMums blog was I did a post called Variety is the Spice of Exercise, and it showed about how using lots of different kinds of exercise keeps you motivated and keeps you interested in your workout. So, and definitely being flexible and creative are a couple of the messages that I put on the BritMums blog. So there are a few great tips there in the post there, but I was nodding along with all of that, Shakira.
It's nice to know in the trenches we're on the right road. Shakira, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your tips. We can find more workouts and tips and ideas on your blog, Strong Like Mom.
Yeah.
That's exciting. We'll go check that out. And Nadine, thank you for coming and giving your viewpoint as someone who's kind of undergone it and getting back onto the exercise horse, as it were.
As it were.
All right.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You can find more information on the BritMums blog, and please do follow us on Google Plus and YouTube, and we'll see you at the next Hangout. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.